welcome you all, basketball degenerates, to another episode of the Pass First, Shoot Later podcast brought to you by the OC Basketball League. I'm your host, Zico Pepic, here with my co-hosts, Michael Van Wyck and Omar Almadine. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty
Good, good.
good.
What's going on, fellas?
Doing good, guys. How about you?
Another day in paradise, man. Another day in paradise.
Love it.
Yeah.
I know you were getting excited to come on here and tell me all about how Minnesota's got this series wrapped up, and you told me so.
No, actually, I told you I would not touch this game because I think Minnesota can beat the Nuggets. This is one of those games where series where I wouldn't be surprised either way. I still don't think that Denver's going to win another one back to back. I kind of said that Minnesota is capable of beating them, and I think that they've shown that they are. I think the most interesting thing right now is officiating in the NBA. And I think that's a topic I'd like to talk about tonight because it's amazing how two teams go up 2-0 and coaches have a fit and complain to the league, and suddenly the next two games are officiated differently, and the NBA can't really afford to have sweeps or, reigning
Uh,
champions get beat in that manner. So
I
I
get what
think
you're
it's
saying. They're not going to let them lose, get swept. But I'm just going to forewarn you, Zico. Let's be careful about what we say about the NBA refs now that our new assigner is associated with a lot of those referees that
I
are.
mean, even get away from that. Look, I'm all for conspiracy theories. They're fun. We've played around with them. We've talked about some of them. But at the end of the day, if the NBA was worried about sweeps and whatnot, then what happened to the Lakers last year?
Well,
mean,
I think the NBA did not want that to happen. I think that
I'm sure they didn't want it, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're out here trying to make everything go exactly as they want, trying to plan everything out and this and that. But with that said, I got Denver in 6.
I would not be surprised if Denver wins it. I think I'd be least surprised out of us three for Minnesota to win it. I think I'd be least surprised for Minnesota to win it all this season, which is something Mike, if you remember, I had actually said this like early on in the season where you didn't even want to talk about Minnesota in our division. And I said that they're the team where I could see if, one injury happens, they're the team that I could see just kind of riding it out. I think it was them in New York, and Miami Heat. Those are like the three teams I said, and Dallas, that I feel like if they go on a run, they're the teams I could see just kind of rolling through it. And just the way that the teams are being managed and made, it's kind of funny with Minnesota, like the general manager of that team was the general manager of the Denver Nuggets from 2013 to 2022.
So
And
he's assembled the Nuggets the way they look like and what they won their last couple championships, and went over to Minnesota and look what he's done, with that team. But you know, I
He got the James Harden of big men.
James Harden, a big man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gobert.
it's too soon. It's too soon to if they do beat Denver, then you're not going to be saying that. But
No, I
the
I don't think long term Gobert's winning.
Mike, I feel like if they beat the Nuggets right now, to me they're the favorite to win it at that point. I honestly do. With the way this team is playing defense, they're playing defense better than the Celtics are. They have
Well, the
length
Celtics are
match up.
missing Porzingis right now.
Even with Porzingis. I think they're a better defensive team than the Boston Celtics are. I'm serious. If you look at the way this team is playing defense against the Denver Nuggets, especially in those first two games, it's absolute clamps, man. I think they're the best defensive team in the league when you look at Gobert, when you look at Conley, when you look at Jaden McDaniels, and the fact that those three guys, you have them starting next to Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns are also playing defense at an elite level. I think they're the best defensive team in the league.
Okay. Well, Mark, go ahead. I cut you off there. That's my bad.
it's all good because I don't disagree with what Zico's saying. So,
Oh, well, then I got to cut you off again. No, just kidding.
but the part the part that I wanted to point out here and what bothered me the most about this series is, the NBA chose money over setting a precedence and with the whole Jamal Murray, there's one thing when you throw a towel at the ref and then you throw a heat pack on the floor. If this was any other player, if this was a regular season game, somebody's getting suspended. I can understand the towel at the referee. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't impact the game on the court, but when that heat pack landed it by the paint, that is a potential injury. That is a potential to hurt somebody. That has to come with consequences. And the fact that the NBA did nothing about it is
What
what
would happen to
bothers.
Draymond Green? Well, how many games would he be suspended for this?
So
And
I'm gonna.
and if we compare to Draymond Green, again, we're talking about a repeated offender. I hear this a lot, and everybody says that. But at the end of the day, I don't care if it's Draymond or if it's number 15 on the bench. If a
Right.
heat pack lands on the court, that player needs to be fined and suspended. I don't care if he's Jamal Murray or if he's a rookie that just got drafted that plays is on a two-way contract.
So
That
that's what I was going to say. I agree with you. Draymond Green's a bad example because he's a repeat offender. If it's Draymond Green, you got to throw the books at him because he keeps doing the same thing over and over.
Okay,
But
what if it
to
was
that
McDaniels? If it was Jaden McDaniels on the other team,
yeah, I
he's
think they
suspended.
would have done more. I completely agree, and they should have done more. And I mean, I'm saying this just from what I've heard. I still haven't seen it. But yeah, even the towel, you can't throw something at a referee. I mean, regardless of what you disagree or come back with or want to argue with, and we've all been there. Everyone gets mad at refs miss calls. You can't do that. And to do it a second time after the first towel was swept under the rug, to do it again, I completely agree with what you're saying, Omar. I think they need to do more.
and so with that being said, would Denver be tied 2-2 had Jamal Murray been suspended?
No, they wouldn't. And this is kind of the stuff I was saying, like the way the game is going to be called, after the coaches sat there and complained, is a big factor in how this moves forward and how the league looks, and the league, you might think there's no conspiracy theories, Mike, but the
I
league,
didn't say there's none. There's definitely some.
right? Well, the league absolutely protects certain teams, certain players, certain legacies. They absolutely do, and this is a prime example of that. The league didn't want Denver, even if they lose, they don't want it to be, the way in the manner it was going. Had they gone down 0-3, it would have been a really bad look for the league. It would have been a
Yeah,
real,
and that goes back to everybody else. I mean, you'll have I think majority of NBA fans are probably casual fans and they want to see superstars play. That's why there's fines levied for resting players and doing all of this. So if you suspend a player like that and if a fan wants to go see it and then all of a sudden they don't see Jamal Murray, that's going to be worse for the league from the business perspective. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword because you don't hear the casual fan, majority of fans aren't complaining that he didn't get suspended. Could they have upped the fine? Sure, but at what point does a fine become too big of a fine, right? When is it more than a suspension? So,
Well, that's what
that,
I was saying. The towel at the referee is a fine. There's no impact to the game. The heat pack on the court is a suspension.
I agree.
That's just the way I would interpret that situation, because
right.
the towel at the referee is more unsportsmanlike conduct, which has nothing to do with the impact on the game. But the heat pack is actually detriment to the game, and it could. So what would we have done had that been Anthony Edwards who landed on it and tore his ACL? Would we be
Right.
having this conversation?
No,
What would Minnesota's reaction be? Because you take out their best player per se, even if it's Cat, even if it's Jalen McDaniels, even if it's Nicole Walker-Alexander.
Doesn't matter who it is. It could be. I mean, it could be the coach that you
Could have been the ref.
created. Yeah, you create an injury, and that's a problem. But I'm saying it didn't happen. So the casual fan is like, oh, no big deal, right? They don't know. They haven't played in that setting. A lot of people who watch basketball have not played basketball in I'll say highly athletic setting. They don't know what coming down on something that you're not prepared for, or even landing on an ankle because they're not getting off the floor that high. You could have Anthony Edwards come down on that and slip, and I don't know what heat pad it was, if it was a basic one or if it was one of these hyper ice ones. But either way, you come down on something like that and your foot slides out from under you, could be an ACL, could be a broken tailbone. It could have been any number of things. There have been some gruesome injuries in sports from athletic people. So yes, I agree with you, but the casual fan says, nothing happened. It's okay. I want to see Jamal Murray.
So I'll go on record and say this. If Denver wins, I'm putting an asterisk around this series. And if they win the NBA championship, I'm putting an asterisk around it. Because had this been, I agree with you that Draymond is a bad example. But when Draymond gets suspended in the Warriors playoff run, it hurts that team tremendously.
Right. I agree with you.
Jamal Murray getting suspended for one game, we could be easily talking about a 3-1 series.
And if you remember that situation when Draymond Green got suspended,
yeah, you
LeBron
can't
actually started the altercation. Draymond finished it. LeBron had no fine, nothing said to him, not a slap on the wrist of any kind, and Draymond was suspended. And the Warriors complained about that. The Warriors complained about the NBA said nothing.
You can't start putting asterisks on every injury or every suspension or everything that goes down, because who knows if they don't get suspended in the regular season.
Mike, in a situation like that, that's different. In a playoff situation, like if it would have happened during the season, it would have been a suspension. Why is it not during the playoffs?
Different atmosphere. Why are fouls treated differently? Why can you play more physical in the playoffs? It's a different event. It's a different atmosphere. Same thing in the finals.
Now things are not adding up. I would agree with you. I would agree with you if it was equal for everyone else. It's not, and that's where the issue is. If you
it's superstar treatment, that happens for all of that's always happened. It's always going to happen. Foul calls are different for superstars. Everything's different for superstars. They know that. Also, like you said, they want to keep teams in. You're not going to suspend. If that would have been the 12th player on the end of the bench, he would have been suspended. But you're not going to do that right now to this team on something that majority of the fans are going to look at as something that is not a problem. It's not going to cause a problem. He threw something. Every person watching that has thrown a remote control at the wall.
I would agree with you, Mike. I would agree with you, Mike. But most fans root for their team, and if their team had a situation where somebody was suspended during a playoff series for anything else, that team is going to be like, "What the hell? Why did this guy get suspended and that guy didn't? Why were we being treated for this situation and they're not being treated for that situation?" They're going to look at it as the NBA is playing favorites. I have seen players get suspended for less during the playoffs. And so for me, it's BS for this to be acceptable, for something else not to be acceptable. And I know that there's NBA fans who are going to look at that and remember, why did this happen to us? But it's not going to happen to them.
Well, and I completely agree with that. And don't get me wrong, I think it warrants a suspension as well. I'm not arguing that it didn't. I'm just saying we all knew a suspension wasn't coming because he doesn't have a history of doing anything.
I thought he was getting suspended.
No, to be fair, I didn't see it either. I mean, yeah, to be fair, I didn't see it.
Maybe you should look at it, like, especially during the show, like take your phone out, look at it, and then tell me afterwards, do you think that warrants a suspension? Because
I already said it does. I already said it warrants a suspension.
No, but Mike, but Mike, that's what I'm saying. You're saying it arbitrarily off of abstract. Let's move on from that topic. And before this episode's over, we'd hope that you actually look it up.
I'll go look at it. I'll look at it right now.
And then let's see if your position stays the same. You understand why I put the asterisk if Denver wins, because Jamal Murray's impact on that team, even though Jokic is the MVP of the league, Jamal Murray has played at a high level in their championship runs. We've all talked about it. It takes two superstars to be able to win a championship game, a championship series. And Jamal Murray is that second piece to Jokic.
Listen, I don't care what the video shows. The video could show it hitting somebody in the head. Nothing happened from it. Nothing resulted as far as injuries. So taking Jamal Murray,
casual fans, and I looked at that video the first time because I didn't watch that game. I looked at that video for the first time on Twitter. And when I saw the amount of comments saying he's getting suspended, Denver's done, the amount of comments that were focused on that, when that came up, like you're saying casual fans feel this, but like when I saw the video, I was like, damn, he's gonna get suspended. I really thought he would. So for me, it was a surprise that he wasn't. Because he aimed that towards the ref. That was directed towards an official. And how many times has it been where a player puts their hand on official, shoves them or some of that, and they're suspended? I could count tons of times it's happened from any type of player, stars, anything. And this situation, it wasn't. So, throwing something at an official, aiming at an official intentionally, it's BS.
I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just
All
saying
right.
this is
We'll move on. Let us know when you watch the video. I do want to go back to the other series that just evened up, Knicks versus the Pacers. I think this situation is a little different. The Knicks are just really suffering in terms of health right now. Multiple guys are now out. OG Anunoby's out. Mitchell Robinson's done for the season. I think every one of their forwards is out for the season except for Precious Achua and Josh Hart, and they're running thin at this point. The series evened out 2-2. I'm pretty sure Indiana's going to win this at this point. I don't think the Knicks have a chance, especially as they just announced Anunoby will not be playing next game either. It was a fun story. I really think that had they been fully healthy, they might have been headed to the finals. I think they would have crushed Indiana 4-0 had they had Randall and everybody there. And I think they would have given the Celtics the best run for their money. And honestly, I would have loved to see them play against Denver because the amount of depth for both teams would have been fun to watch. But yeah, it's a different situation. I don't know how much officials affected this series. I don't think they did. I think this is just one of those situations where a team starts getting depleted due to injuries, and it's just kind of how things worked out for them.
Well, we hear a lot of people talk about Thibodeau running his players rugged, running them down, playing them too many minutes. I know that was the story back in Chicago, and now that trend is here in New York, and everybody's talking about it. I actually spoke to like a diehard Knicks fan the other day about the same thing, and you don't hear too many Knicks fans actually complaining about it, much more than just the general fan. And I mean, we talk about it here. Like, first of all, Josh Hart said what he had to say about the situation. And none of the players have ever come out, from the old Chicago Bulls have ever come and said anything negative about Thibs and his coaching style and his minutes played. And, at the end of the day, these are guys that get paid to be in the best top of their shape that they can possibly be, number one, right? Even if you look at us, even us, just the average basketball player, a rec ball player, nobody wants to come out the game, even if you're out of shape, even if you suck. So for somebody that's in the best shape of their life, they're not trying to come out the game because they want to be on the floor. They're competitive. There's that competitive spirit. So I don't know. I think the injuries got them, which is unforeseen and unfortunate, but I don't think it had anything to do with Thibs and his play, the minutes played.
It didn't, because you look at the Randall injury, a guy undercut him and he fell midair on his shoulder, dislocated it. You look at the Mitchell Robinson injury, the guy started to jump and Joel Embiid grabbed his foot and he injured it that way. The Anunoby injury was off of a physical play here in the Indiana series and he got injured. So when you look at situations like that, has nothing to do with Thibs. The thing about Thibs that everyone gets like crazy about is his rotation is smaller. He's an old school coach. He has an 8-man rotation. He doesn't run 10, 11-man rotations like a lot of the NBA guys do now. And a lot of NBA players today, everybody's in this feel good mentality with today's NBA. Like everybody gets to play, everyone gets an award trophy, all that stuff like that. It's like the new AAU style of coaching. And teams want to see 11 guys enter the game. I don't want to see my 10th man on the roster get in the game. I want to see my top 8 players. I want to win the game. Those are the things I care about. So
Well,
Tibbs
at the end,
guys
at the
at
end,
36 minutes a game. What does that sound like? That sounds like 90s and 2000s basketball. I don't see what the issue is with that when people complain about that. So I like old school coaches like that. Like I go with my 8-man rotation. I'm good with that. In fact, how many guys do we usually have in our games in our leagues? Like we have 8 guys on the roster. Like we don't want any more than that. Like Omar said, we don't want to sub out. And we usually hope that somebody misses the game. So we're down to 6. Right. At least we have one sub just in case you get tired and we really need it or we're in foul.
And it's not just Thibs. Any team, any playoff team,
Right.
it's known once you come playoff time, the rotation
It gets tighter. Yep.
it gets tighter. Not everybody's meant to play in the playoffs. Now, injuries allow the next man up, but at the end of the day, yes, throughout the season you might have a 10, 11 man rotation. Come playoff time, we all know it gets down to 7 or 8.
Exactly.
And that, so it's not just Thibs. Maybe the Thibs issue is the minutes disparity, but outside of that,
Listen, these players aren't getting injured because of minutes in the NBA season, right? It's like you said, they train, they get ready, they're supposed to be ready for this. This is their job. They get paid to do that. So what it could be is not taking time in the off season or something along those lines, but you have all these guys that play year round in FIBA, the Olympics, or whatever it may be, right? They're not getting hurt left and right. So it's just freak accidents. We don't play tons of minutes nonstop, year in, year out, right? But we all still get hurt. Injuries just happen. Some people are more prone to injuries. I got 4 kids. I can tell you which one of them gets hurt more than the others because they try to do more. They're trying to do something new, or they're not doing things that they've prepared for. And that's with anybody.
well, but Mike, at the end of the day, we also forget and don't take into account like the Jalen Brunsons who played Team USA, who didn't have the off season like everybody else did. There's certain guys that don't have the amount of time to rest and recover that other people do. And so, yes, this is going to catch up. This will catch up to you. You're a human being. They're not robots.
But even if you're training, I don't think that these injuries are catch-up injuries, right? Because you look at guys, and I know LeBron recently has had a couple injuries, but that guy played nonstop for 18 years, right? Day in, day out on every FIBA team, every Olympic team. He played.
I was hoping you didn't bring up
deeper.
LeBron as an example because we already told you where we feel that goes. So let's move past that one.
But still, he plays deeper into the season. He plays more games. You look at guys. I mean, look at you guys can go back to Kobe Bryant. Okay, do your Kobe thing. That guy played as much as he could, year in, year out, and he had some injuries that he was able to play through. Well, no, that's just because his body broke down towards the end. But that was a 20-year career, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of Achilles injuries are freak accidents that just happen. They just push wrong because some injuries are just freak accidents. There's nothing to do with minutes logged. I mean, look at Durant. Durant ruptured his Achilles. He's playing the same minutes. He's playing the same way. He's not doing less than he was, but he's not rupturing every Achilles every time he steps on the court. He didn't do the other one. So sometimes things just happen.
The difference with Kobe in that season in particular, that Lakers team had a ton of injuries throughout the season. They had games where they only had 7 guys available to play. The roster was depleted. Kobe Bryant was playing over 40 minutes a game for a long stretch of time. D'Antoni was the coach. And on top of that, they had Kobe playing point guard. He was running the offense, doing the scoring, and chasing the other team's best perimeter player the whole game. He was doing that for like a good 40-game stretch. You could see it started to wear on him. You could see he was starting to feel pain while he was moving. And you could see him losing a little bit of a step towards the end of the season. So at that point, I feel like that was
his Mamba mentality didn't work out, and he was too stubborn to stop when he was hurt.
I don't think it was him, Mike. Again, the team had 7 players for multiple games in a row. The guy was playing over 40. He was 34 years old. To play over 40 minutes a game for a 30-game stretch was insane, man. Like
Kobe Bryant could have easily said, "Hey, I'm injured. I need to sit out a week." He knows his body. He knows how he feels. Some people push themselves. I get it. I know
that I don't agree with. Like if I'm a star, like I don't like, and like I'm like Kobe. Like if I'm a star, I want to play every game for the fans. I think it sucks for the fans. Like I look.
How many did he get that next season for the fans?
I'm a comfortable. I'm in a comfortable position where if I want to go to Laker games, I can go to quite a few during the season without an issue. Right. I have friends who I've given tickets to. They can't afford to go to games, like, right? They can't afford to go to games. And I gave someone a pair of tickets, which a vendor gave to me, right? And I gave someone a pair of tickets. They were super excited to take their kid to the game. They had never been to a game. LeBron James didn't play that night. He rested that night. Like,
Okay.
imagine a kid who never gets the opportunity to go to a game, gets 2 tickets, goes to the game to see LeBron, has his jersey on, and doesn't get to see him play. That's one of the most disappointing things I've ever seen happen.
I
can understand if
completely get
they're
it.
actually injured, but when he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take the night off.
And I get it, but again, Kobe was probably already injured and played through an injury. That was his
He
mentality.
was. He was.
Exactly. So when you're hurt, you got to stop. You got to know better because look, I get playing for the fans. That's why they didn't suspend Jamal Murray. Even after I watched the video, that's why they didn't do it because you're playing for the fans. You want the fans to show up and see their player. But at the end of the day, him playing that 1 extra game or 2 extra games or whatever it was, how many did he play the next season? How many fans got to see him? That's what I'm saying. He got into instead of resting and missing 6
the other
games.
stuff I was saying, like
No, I did. Instead of
that
missing 6
season in
games,
particular,
instead of missing
yeah,
6
but
games to rest, he injured his Achilles and didn't get to play the whole next season.
Mike, but what I'm also saying is that season in particular, they were so short-handed that he was being double and triple teamed the whole season. Like,
Again,
I think you remember who was on that roster at that
I
point.
know I know the roster, and you're not listening to what I'm saying. I
get what you're
that
saying, but I think that that's an extreme circumstance, like to compare it to. That's all I'm telling you. That is an extreme, like that doesn't happen to anyone else in history. Look at that stretch. Go back at that stretch. No one else is comparable to that. It's like saying, oh, don't compare Draymond Green in this situation. Well, I don't think you should compare Kobe in this situation either. That situation was an extreme situation. I don't think you could compare that to like the Thibs situation right now, is what I'm saying. And Thibs is
I'm not
supposed.
comparing any of it. I'm saying all of these players should be ready, but if you know you're hurt, there's certain injuries you can play through that aren't going to cause more problems, and there's certain ones you can't. And from me and my perspective, most leg injuries probably not something you want to mess with.
Right, but he didn't have a leg injury. He had a shoulder injury before that was nagging at him, and then the
No,
leg injury came that game.
but I'm sure his calf hurt or something else was already there and strained that he was playing through.
That game, he started hurting it. Like if you remember, he took one hard foul from Harrison Barnes on one play, and then the very next play, the Achilles happened. That was when it happened. Like he had like 3 plays in a row where he just leveled left and right, and then he made the move, Achilles tore. It could happen like that too. Look,
I think it's free.
I
think it's freak accidents.
I strained it and I was stupid. I was training for a marathon. I was playing basketball 3 days a week, running 4 days a week, went too hard, was chasing some young 22-year-old kid left and right up and down the court who was running nonstop. He made a quick move. I turned to move and my entire leg locked up. Luckily, I didn't tear. It was a calf, Achilles strain, and shin splints all in one. But what did I do? I was going too hard. And I'm a guy at this point, so it's on me at that point. It's the same thing with Kobe, but he was in a situation where he didn't have any help at that situation. That season was a disaster in terms of Laker fans. Omar, remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, the following season was a disaster too. But still, what I'm saying is I don't attribute any of this to coaching. I don't think it's on the coaches because I think the players know their bodies, they know what they're capable of.
Agreed.
So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not on the coaches. I don't care if the coach plans to play you 48 minutes and you sign up for 48 minutes. That's on you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I don't think it's on the coaches, and most players want to play as much as possible. They want to be in the game, so I don't think it's on the coaches either. Again, I like more of the old school coaches. Spoelstra plays his guys a lot of minutes. Nobody says anything. D'Antoni played his guys. He had a 7-man rotation when he was coaching his guys, and he was running the entire game. So to me, it doesn't make any sense in terms of that point. So. Okay, let's I want to jump
Hey,
to the
Mavs
Dallas.
OKC? What's that at right now? Did that game finish?
No,
Down
Thunder up 4 with
actually,
33.
Yeah, actually, yes. The Thunder
Yeah, they
came
took
back
the
to
lead.
take the lead
Yeah.
because I was watching that game and Dallas had control of the first, second, and third.
Mhm.
Even into the fourth, they were up by 7. So Thunder going up 2 now with 33 seconds left.
so I was tracking this game before we started this podcast, and something was pretty eye-opening to me. So we want to talk about referees, but I don't know if you guys saw, but going into the fourth quarter, Kyrie had 5 fouls and Luca had 4. Almost no one else on the rest of the roster was in foul trouble. But it's kind of
Southbound.
crazy to me when I kind of see 2 stars on one team, being penalized, in a situation like this. I don't want to go watch, um, Dante Exum, play a majority of the minutes, or Josh Green. I want to see Luca and Kyrie, and here you are penalizing them.
Oh, Kyrie must have fouled out then, because he just went to the bench with a minute to go. So there's no way.
Probably fouled out. Or they took him out just to not pick up that foul. One or the other. But yeah, I think that they wanted this series to even out too. I think they're hoping for this series and Minnesota and Denver to go 7 games. I think it'd be great for the league. I just hate that they put teams in situations like this, because I personally don't think it's a good look for the league when it happens. Anything you guys want to add about this series though? Anything you guys are impressed by,
Well,
disappointed?
again, I think this series can easily go to 7. Just because of both teams' ability to play good one night and play bad another night. If they make it, they're each team is dangerous, but I don't think Dallas has an answer for SGA. I mean, he averaged 30 on the season, which I think he got robbed of MVP in my opinion. But I think the fact that he's also averaging 30 in the playoffs is quite impressive. You know,
I was gonna say that's the one thing that's been impressive to me for OKC is just how
consistent.
how mature they've played. They're super young, and I thought that age would hit them a lot harder than it has. And granted, their first round I think was a pretty easy walk in the park. I think that was probably the worst team in the Western Conference playoffs. Obviously, being the 8th seed, that's what it would say. But I think even beyond that, with the play-in guys, I think they were the worst ones out of the group with Zion hurt. But just the way they've been able to play still and not succumb to being in that limelight or in that spotlight in the playoffs. Dallas obviously has been there. They've come up short, but they've played some big games in the playoffs, and OKC still came out. They came back this game. Hopefully they can tie up the series, because it has been a good series. I still wouldn't be shocked if Dallas won because of the youth, and I don't think OKC is going to get past either of the other 2 teams on the other side. But just the way they've seemed to play, very mature. They've seemed to play ready for that. That's been good to see.
Luca just missed 1 of 2 free throws. Could have tied the game up. It is now 96-95 OKC ball with 10 seconds left. OKC has a timeout. So
Does Dallas have a timeout?
Can't see from where I'm looking, honestly. Yeah, it does not show here if they have another timeout or not. But yeah, I definitely think it's a great series. I feel like Dallas is the better team right now. OKC is just showing us how dangerous they're going to be in the years to come. I wasn't surprised when Dallas went up 2-1. I think I think having 2 guys like Luca and Kyrie that can create the way they do is kind of showing what OKC might be lacking, because you have Shea, and then after that, you don't really have anyone that's going to go and get their own shot. Chet is kind of a pick and roll, pick and pop big, run the floor type of big. But the rest of those guys are kind of like, they could hit shots, but they're not the kind of guys that are going to go make shots for you. So that's something I think the OKC is going to need to address, that clear cut number 2 option, and what they need to do to get that. I'm not sure what they're going to have to give up to get that, but I think that's definitely what this team needs moving forward. Speaking of what teams need,
I think it's the first though.
I don't know. I was shocked by that. He's not shooting very well tonight, though. Speaking of what teams need, yesterday was an interesting day. They announced the draft lottery, and before we started the show, the first thing you guys said about it was it is what?
Not
Rigged.
we, not we.
I
Omar.
said it. I said it. The draft lottery was rigged.
Okay, Omar, in what way was the draft lottery rigged?
Well, at the end of the day, you know, the NBA would better off going away from showing the percentages of odds to get the number one pick, because it is almost every single time the team with the best odds. And I get it. It's probability, it's statistics, it's odds. I get it. But they're better off. Mike, you're a numbers guy. I know. But at the end of the day, you don't need to show it. You don't need to show it because there are teams who are in dire need of having the first pick, and you know you can go away from it and just give it to the team with the worst record so that they can improve and whatnot. But for Atlanta to get the first pick here, being that they had the lowest odds, Mike, or one of the lowest odds for Atlanta to get it, that lets me know that there is a trade brewing here where Trae Young is probably not going to be a Hawk. And this is a way for the NBA to.
I don't agree with you. I
Well,
think staying a Hawk.
So going back, just you're hitting percentages, right? They had a what, 3%. So they're the fifth lowest number
No, it was
percentage to get.
Wasn't it 0.3%, not 3%, 0.3%.
No, because they
Yeah,
were
Mike,
it was
I think it was 0.3%.
3%. No, it's 3%.
yeah, it was 3%. And they were the fifth lowest percentage to receive a first round pick. There were 4 other teams that had lower percentage or lower odds of getting it that ended up with the first pick. But like you said, it's percentages that happens. I mean, everybody has the ESPN app and follows along these games. They're like, oh, they have a 98% chance to win, and then they lose, right? There's always that 2%. There have been 5 teams in NBA history that have won a 7-game series after trailing the first 2 games. So, I mean, if Denver pulls this off and wins, are we going to sit here and say, oh, it's conspiracy, it's rigged? You are with Jamal Murray. You're going to put an asterisk. But what I'm saying is percentages are percentages. They happen. By saying there's 3%, there's a 3% chance.
This is what I think, Mike. In terms of rigging, I don't think that they're trying to rig the series. I think they're trying to make it a 3-game series. I think the NBA wants 3-game series. I don't think they want the 7-game series situation where if a team comes out and sweeps someone in 4 or wins in 5, it's bad for the league. However, if it's 2-2 and there's a 3-game series remaining, the NBA loves that. That's when the games are most watched, when it's a 3-game series and every game is going to matter even more so until now. So any game moving forward is going to be more important than anything we've watched until now. Those are the ones that fans pay attention to more so. I haven't watched every game during the playoffs, but now in these best 3 series, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to all those games because it's pivotal at that point. But in terms of Atlanta getting the first pick, I don't think Trae Young is getting traded, and there's one big reason why. We just watched Wemby get drafted number 1. We saw what he's going to be doing for this franchise. And there happens to be another tall, lanky, 7-foot+ French kid who's going to be the number 1 pick in this draft, Alex Sarr. And I think we mentioned him earlier on in the season as someone who might end up being the number 1 pick. I think that Atlanta is going to look at their situation and say, Trae, Murray, Sarr, we can build something with that. Like we can put ourselves back in a situation where we're going to be competitive and we're going to have a bright future because we're still a young team. So I don't think they're making a trade. I think they're going to pick him and they're going to roll with it. They might make a trade in terms of some of the end of the bench guys like Capella, which they might not need now if they draft him. But I just don't think they could gamble on it after seeing what Embiid did, what Embiid did this last season.
So you think it was rigged to give Atlanta the 3rd piece so that they can be relevant in the East?
Atlanta's not going to be relevant. I mean, let's stop. Whoever's coming in the draft isn't Wemby. Let's
agree,
not pretend they're going to be
Mike.
even
But again,
close.
the wave that these European players are causing at this point, the NBA is crazed by it. Like it happens all the time where it's like one big European comes out and changes the situation that all those teams kind of start following suit. Like, oh, well, maybe I could find the next Wemby. And Alex Sarr is actually a really good player. He's been playing with Wemby for a long time. I think he's going to be a really good NBA player. Do I think he's going to be Wemby good? No. but I think he could be another. I think he could be a lot like Chet Holmgren, a lot like Chet Holmgren. So, and when you put someone like that next to, again, Trey and DeJounte Murray, DeJounte Murray. Sorry, Omar, I had to do that there. I think you just put the team in a better situation, to be successful. So
No, I don't think Atlanta's going to be. They're not contenders, right?
I didn't say
Even
they're
with
contenders, Mike, but you're not building for the first year, you're building for a future. And again, you still have DeJounte and Trey, and they're both young guys, and you have more players on that team that are very young players. You're trying to build. Like, if you're not going to win now, can we win in 3 years? That's what they're
right,
trying to do.
and I don't think a small market team's going to do that. I don't think they're going to hold on to their players.
I think, well, I mean, they have both DeJounte and Trey signed for like the next 5 years.
Which
They
I'm telling you right now, I don't think Trey will be as a Hawk next season.
Listen,
One of those two guys won't be.
The one team that was interested in him, and this is why I think you're wrong about this. The one team that was seriously interested in him was the San Antonio Spurs. And the San Antonio Spurs thought that they would use their draft picks to trade for Trae Young. Now, had Atlanta gotten like the 7th pick and San Antonio sitting on the 4th and the 8th, then yeah, I think Trae's gone. I think he's probably going to San Antonio.
OKC won.
OKC won?
Yep, game over.
Yep. 100-96.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It evened the series up. It's a 3-game series the rest of the way, so I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, I definitely think that Atlanta at this point, had it been San Antonio having the 4th and the 8th and Atlanta was somewhere 6th or 7th, then yeah, I could see them trading Trae Young. To get the first pick and trade Trae Young and rebuild and do all that, it just makes no sense to me.
Well,
Like,
what
even
if you
I'm
use that
trading-
Trae Young pick to get somebody?
But what are you going to give up that's going to put you in a better situation? Like, for me, my whole thing is if I have Trae Young and Alex Sarr, like, I could build something with that. I'd move DeJounte Murray before I'm moving Trae Young. So like, if you tell me
But-
like,
but-
okay,
but
we're
Trae-
gonna take DeJounte Murray to the San Antonio Spurs for the 4th and the 8th pick, that to me might seem plausible where you could continue rebuilding. That's more plausible to me than trading Trae Young.
What if you can trade him and get Lillard and Bobby
Trae's going-
Portis Jr.?
Trey's going to the Lakers.
Oh,
I don't think they have enough to do it, Omar. In fact, I know they don't have enough to do it.
And I'm only saying that
D'Angelo
because
Russell's going to opt out. D'Angelo
he's
Russell's going to
part
opt out.
because he's part of Clutch, and that's why they're hoping for a sign and trade
I don't see it happening.
with D'Angelo.
Lakers do not have enough assets to make that work. If
Now,
Lakers
I'm not
would
necessarily saying
they would.
I'm not
suck.
necessarily saying that's what I want, but
I don't think
I'm not a fan of Trae Young. I don't think Trae Young helps him.
DeJounte Murray is more plausible to me than Trae Young, because Trae Young makes a lot more money. DeJounte Murray is also clutch, so that to me is more plausible. But again, D'Angelo Russell is going to opt out, and even if he opts in, they can't trade him until I think it's like January or something like that. So what you're going to tell me you're trading Rui for Trae Young? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, man. I just don't think he's going to be a Laker.
Yeah, I don't see Trae Young helping them anyways.
Yeah. Did we just lose Mike there? I think we did.
yeah, I
For
think we lost Mike.
Oh, there he
What's
is.
happened? I don't know what happened. Sorry, but yeah, I don't see Trae Young helping them. Because their problem wasn't as much on offense as it was on defense, and defensively, Trae Young is not D'Lo. But I think Trae Young's a glorified poor man's Steph Curry. He wants to be Steph Curry, but he's not that.
So I have to ask, since we're just mentioning the draft, have you guys paid any attention to any of the incoming class that could be potential top picks in this draft?
Yes and no, not all of them. But as I
No.
mentioned to you, I got to witness one of the lottery picks, the other French kid, when I was out in Turkey. He, and honestly,
Alex Sarr?
no, the other one, Zachary.
Mm.
and he was playing. He's playing French first division with JL Borg, and then he was also playing Euro Cup. And I was actually at a game where, he didn't, he didn't impress much, right? He in a game that was, you know, uh, series clinching game away. He was a no show that game. So I thought I was going to be able to see more from him, being that he's a lottery pick. But then again, a lot of these European players outside of Wimby, they're being drafted off of potential. These scouts are watching him year round. I saw him one game, but then again, you talking about a potential, lottery pick, you would expect to see more from him. But again, it was one game, he obviously watching him in warmups, he can knock it down from outside. He's also tall and lanky, and that's what you're getting with a lot of these French players, 6'8", 6'9", 7 feet, lanky, can shoot, stretch the floor.
Well, I'm gonna point out one player in particular who I'm really excited for. I actually hope he ends up with the Spurs.
Bronny with his 12 threes in a row.
No.
It wasn't 4 threes, by the way. It was 14. He went 14 for 15.
12. You said 12 in a row.
Well, yeah, but he went 14 for 15.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that a lot in my life too. It's not that impressive to me. Yeah.
Hey, Zico.
I've gone like 27 for 30, 28 for 30, like multiple times doing that. Like I've watched the videos of like Peja hitting like 63s in a row, like 12
Hey,
threes.
I'm not saying
anything they
you're trying
can.
to compare him to one of the best shooters that played our game too, Peja, right? But we're also talking about he's at the NBA draft combine.
I know. I just
what-
like anything's going to be a story with him at this point. Anything is going to be a story.
I'm not even- I'm not even-
let his know his like exact measurements. Like I don't care that he's 6'1" and 3/4.
I'm not worried about that, but the combine is for guys to show
I know
their
that.
abilities. And he's showing up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to hop on the bandwagon saying it's going to make him a first round, the lottery first round pick or the number
I know,
one
but
pick.
the media is gonna push that. The media, and like that's what I can't stand. Like it's those idiots who know nothing about basketball. They're just like in it for the name, and they're gonna sit there and do anything they can for.
Zico, you're part of a podcast now, so you're part of the media.
I know, but I don't do clickbait stuff unless I make fun of Omar.
Yet.
You said what?
Unless I make fun of Omar, then I'll do the clickbait stuff. But yeah, I don't do clickbait stuff. It's not me. I don't like trying to sell something that like I don't like actually know or believe in. You know what I mean? Like it's just not my thing. So anyway, there's a player in particular that I'm really hoping the Spurs draft. He is one of my fellow Balkan boys, Nikola Topic. He is projected to be a top 5 pick. He is a 6'6" guard. Kind of gives me Ginobili type vibes with the way he plays. He can play point guard and shooting guard. He could defend 1 through 3. Insanely smart player. He's only 18 years old. He could shoot. He could drive. He could pass. I hope for Wemby's sake that this guy gets paired up with him. I think they'd be a really fun duo, especially with that European style basketball that Pop pushes. So just throwing that out there. I know he's gonna be on Popovich's radar. So.
Hey, why we're throwing stuff out there, I want to throw this out there. Thank you all for keeping us at 99 subscribers and not hitting that 100 mark. So you guys can like and watch the videos. You don't necessarily have to subscribe right now.
I
sit on that 99.
I have not done clickbait, but I think I'm gonna do clickbait just to see if I can get that 1 subscriber to get there, just so I can see Mike in that Laker jersey.
So everybody, like
Zico?
and watch.
Zico, my wife overheard the conversation and she said she's gonna see if she's a subscriber or not. If she isn't, she's willing to be that 100 subscriber.
I'm
Man,
gonna do the same thing. See if my wife subscribed.
my wife was subscriber day 1, guys. Where are you guys at?
I'm pretty sure my wife was too, but
Come on.
make an account for your son to just.
No fake accounts. I want a list of all 100.
Well,
Actually,
I think my wife knew what the milestones were, and I think she was just waiting for the right time to subscribe. And this is it. You've been hanging on a thread for the last couple of weeks.
She gonna go make 900 fake accounts right now?
Nah, she was gonna make 1 to make you wear a Kobe jersey next episode.
I think that 900 would be even better. Gets that 1,000 subscribers. You ready for that?
You know what? Whenever it happens, I'm ready for
It's
it.
a snowball, man. Once it goes, it's just gonna start going.
Oh
And you just
yeah,
heard
it
Zico
doesn't
doesn't
come.
sell it because he doesn't believe in it yet. But once he starts believing in it and selling it,
No, I believe in it. I just don't like lying.
I
And
know.
I don't like selling something that I don't believe in, like a topic just to get clickbait and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, and I try and be
Like
pretty
like Trey Young going to the Lakers.
like yeah,
Yeah.
that's clickbait, and I don't believe it.
Oh man.
Look, hey, I'm just saying, if LeBron resigns with the Lakers, I probably will be rooting against him. I'll go on record and say that. Even if they win a championship, I don't care.
I
And
won't
right now,
go that
clutch.
far.
I'm going that far. I personally am over the LeBron era in Lakerland.
I'm over it too, Omar, but like I'm a Laker fan. I want the Lakers to win. Like it's hard watching, you know, rooting for your team your whole life and just seeing situations like this. It's not fun to watch.
This was his 5th season as a Laker or 4th?
Fifth.
This was his 5th. So in 5, he's won 20% of the time, guys. How can you hate that?
I didn't say I hate that.
I'm talking to Omar. Omar's mad that LeBron James is winning 20% of his seasons in LA.
No. It's not mad, Mike. It's not
But he's
mad.
losing 80% of the time. That's the other end of it.
But it's also the type of the product that's being displayed on the floor watching Lakers, the inconsistency, the fact that we have no real identity, the fact that players are just
You're putting that all on LeBron?
huh?
You're putting all of that on LeBron?
I think LeBron plays a big factor. Yes, the ball is stagnant when LeBron on the floor. LeBron holds the ball for the majority of the shot clock. Guys are standing in the corner, catch and shoot. Yes, it's not fun watching the Lakers play with LeBron on the floor. Yes, I'm saying that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would probably agree.
I will admit a little bit of that. I think some of the most fun Laker games this season were actually the games that LeBron did sit. Now, I don't expect that team to win anything, but I'm just saying some of the most exciting games that we've seen so far were the games he sat, and some of these other players stepped up and did something pretty exciting in that situation. I think when you have guys that are like elite level, the way LeBron is, the way Kobe is, the way Jordan is, sometimes it's hard for guys to do much in their roles or adjust to their roles. And they could probably do a lot more on different teams. I think we're looking at a situation where, like Omar said, a lot of guys end up just sitting. You know, they can't get themselves going because LeBron will have the ball in his hands the majority of the time. He will be looking to create, and sometimes he does hold the ball for 22 seconds and kicks it out, and they have to be ready to hit a shot. Some players adjust well to that. I feel like most of the new school players don't. Like everybody's used to having the ball in their hands and doing something with it. And unfortunately, it sometimes can make the game look stagnant for some fans. And I at the same time, like again, I don't hate on LeBron. I'm happy he's a Laker as he won one. So like he'll always get respect for me from that. But he was never really that exciting, especially on offense for me to watch. Just there's something about him that was a little boring to me. I like more fundamental style players, so he never moved the needle for me. So yeah,
So
sometimes it is boring with them. But when we're winning, I
so
don't care. As
so
long as
Atlanta drafts Bronny #1 and then trades Trey Young for LeBron. And Omar's happy because both of his things happen.
geez, that would be
Look, the Lakers are not, the Lakers are not trading LeBron. The Lakers right now are basically, the way I see it, are just money chasing. Right now, they're trying to bring in as much revenue as they possibly can while LeBron is there, which is fine from a business standpoint. I'm not knocking it, but from a Laker perspective, from a Laker fan perspective, a team that is expected to win championships, and we only compete for championships. Jerry Buss was never chasing revenue because the
Not
Lakers.
true, Omar.
Hold on. You didn't let me finish because I had a caveat to my statement. The Laker organization itself was a brand. He knew how to market the Laker brand. He was not signing players to sell and make revenue. He was signing players to
Not
win.
true.
Okay, go ahead. Since you work for the Lakers, go ahead and correct me. How is it not true? What player did he
Right when
buy?
Shaq left. Right when Shaq
Okay.
left. What did he do? He cut salary. He had one of the lowest salaries in the NBA. If you
Uh-huh.
remember, he one of the lowest salaries in the NBA. Kobe Bryant
Okay.
didn't even get the full max. Kobe Bryant didn't even get the full max.
So
Kept
you're talking
Kobe,
about two
traded
different.
Shaq. Hold on. Kept Kobe, traded Shaq, and had one of the lowest salaries in the game, and had one of the best players in the league at that point, playing alongside Chris Mim, Kwame Brown,
Mush Parker.
and
I
Luke
know
Walton.
Sasha Vujacic. Okay, we can keep going. So
That was one of the worst situations that we've seen in the history of basketball. He did that for 2 seasons. Pocketed all the money because every game was sold out, and he pocketed as much money. And he did it on purpose because he was trying to point out the smaller market teams that have been doing it and then eating all his money because there's salary sharing amongst the top earners in the NBA that was going to those other teams as long as the salary earner was over the cap.
Okay.
The Lakers were
Well,
under
thank
the
you.
cap,
Thank
and
you.
he
Thank you.
pocketed every penny of this.
Okay. So thank you for supporting my argument. What he did was something completely different what the Lakers are doing now. What he did is, you're right. He went cheap. He saved cost. But he
Yeah,
did
he
not.
saved costs that he didn't have to pay the other teams because he went under. He got to pocket every penny of that. He made more money that season than they did in the title run.
Yeah, and
Those
but
two
he
seasons.
had but he did that because of, like you said, the smaller market teams and the revenue sharing, right? So that was maybe his selfish way of making revenue and keeping the revenue with him. But what we're talking about is he did not go sign a Yao Ming so he can get all the Chinese market to generate revenue to the Lakers. He did not go sign, I'm making it up, I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here, a Vince Carter, the human highlight tapes, that this way he could sell, versus what are the Lakers doing now? Signing LeBron James for clickbait and revenue sharing, not because they want to pocket revenue for themselves, like Jerry Buss did back in that one season you're talking about. You actually just supported my point here.
Omar,
Scenario.
they're still trying to pocket money from themselves at this point.
Nobody's in the business to lose money. You don't run a business, Zico, to lose money. Mike doesn't work for a company that wants to lose money. So when there's revenue being made, there's revenue being made. But again, we're going away from Jerry Buss that year went away from the identity of winning a championship after winning 3, right? Which
2 seasons.
Okay, but after winning 3, right? They just came off of winning 3, and and we all know that situation between Shaq and Jerry Buss, where Shaq said it before, where he came down the court and tell Jerry Buss, "You need to pay me." Remember that? And obviously that became an ego thing,
Right, but it became an ego thing along the way as well. If you remember what actually happened in those 2 seasons, the Lakers had a deal in place. Mitch Kupchak had a deal in place to trade Andrew Bynum for Jason Kidd. Jerry Buss denied the trade. They also had a deal in place where they were about to sign Carlos Boozer, and the team would have been Jason Kidd, Kobe Bryant, Carlos Boozer, Lamar Odom, and Kwame Brown, which would have been a pretty good team in the West. And he annexed any signing of Carlos Boozer. Kobe was the one who recruited Boozer over. They had more than enough money to sign him for big time money at that point. They had more than enough money to take on Jason Kidd. He denied everything. And Kobe Bryant threw a hissy fit and said, "I'd like a trade," because he was doing nothing to improve the roster. Jerry Buss then said, "All right, I will do whatever I can to improve the roster." Kobe Bryant goes on the very next season to have a monster season, which was 2007. They trade for Pau Gasol. Andrew Bynum gets hurt. They still make it to the finals. And Kobe was just in his prime and had one person to help him along the way that season, and Pau Gasol. and got to the finals. Yet he refused to do anything to improve the roster. This is the same thing. He was pocketing money. He made more money in those 2 seasons than he did on the title runs that he had because he pocketed so much money. It's the same thing. He's
So
selling for money.
you're telling me keeping LeBron, drafting his son is the same kind of dynamic that you're comparing it. I get
No,
it.
yes, they are because they're selling out for money at that point. Like the reality of rebuilding,
But you're
and
not rebuilding with LeBron because
I know,
LeBron's
and
expectation is he plays for championships, right?
I
Isn't
know,
that
but
what
that's what I'm trying to say, Omar.
LeBron fans say?
If they let LeBron go, if they let LeBron go, Mike, I think you're going to agree with me with this. Which star is going to say, now that LeBron's gone, I want to go play for the Lakers? Mike, is anybody coming? Like who's
No one's coming this year. No one's coming this year.
Nobody's
They'll be
coming
stuck
this
with
year.
AD. No one wants to play with
Wait, hold
AD.
on.
And then AD is
Nobody
going to
wants-
ask for a trade, and now you're
saying
looking
nobody
at
wants to play
a
with AD?
complete. Now you'd be
They're not
looking.
coming to LA to play with AD.
No, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming, and so they're looking at it from a standpoint of we can go straight up down the drain and try and rebuild with freaking Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, or we could just let it play out with LeBron and AD. Hope we can make some noise, pocket whatever money we make, and sell tickets. That's what the
Yeah,
team.
they're
selling
gonna
out.
sunset LeBron. But I mean, if you look at it, Omar, and I don't want to say who, because obviously there are players that would go there. It's LA. But what superstar is going to give up what team they're on now to go play for the Lakers without LeBron?
Not this season or next season, and probably not for the next 3 years, would you be seeing anybody who's going to become a free agent that would say, I want to go to the Lakers now and help that team come back to relevance. They would have to go through a draft where they get a number 1 pick, number 2 pick, which I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA is rigged at that point. They get a number 2 pick, after having a crappy season.
The NBA can't be that rigged. Otherwise, New York would have more rings.
Well, the NBA does hate the New York Knicks and the Lakers because they're the biggest markets in the NBA. That's kind of like proven at this point. Omar, you disagree with me?
I disagree with any support to the Lakers and LeBron and the fact that you guys that think nobody wants to come play in LA.
No, Omar, I
just
didn't
don't
say
think
that.
anyone
I
would
said
come
go
this
look
season.
to go if LeBron leaves and you have AD, go look at the free agent class this year and tell me who's coming. There's no one. There's no one available within the next 2 or 3 years. Like, is Clay coming in? Clay would be the guy. So Clay's
Yeah,
gonna
but Clay's not helping you. Clay's not.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's no one that's a free agent that's like a game changer. So the Lakers are looking at the free agents and they're saying it is better for us to sign LeBron for what did they say? 2 years, and whoever's a free agent in 2 years, they're looking at that.
Yes.
I don't know if it's Anthony Edwards or Jason Tatum or whoever it might be, Jaylen Brown. They're looking at somebody in the 2-year mark after LeBron is gone. They're saying we want all the money off the books at that point, and we're going to throw the world at them. That's what they're planning. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year you don't have if LeBron leaves, they still don't have a ton of money to go out and sign people, and you're gonna get people that are just rejected by their team, like Klay Thompson. Clay, I promise you would rather stay at Golden State than go to a Lakers team with AD. Just AD. Now you can get
If
Clay
he
to
gets
go there with
paid a lot, he
LeBron.
would do it.
But still, that's what I'm saying is you'd have to pay them more than he's worth at this point in his career.
So the best free agent on the market, who's restricted, by the way, would be Tyrese Maxey. And whatever the Lakers offer him, Philadelphia would match. The other guy that's unrestricted, there's 2 guys that are unrestricted. You could sign DeMar DeRozan and Paul George. Are those going to make any difference playing next to AD?
Wait, isn't Paul George? Where was Paul George rumored to go?
Back to Indiana.
Was it Indiana? No, I thought it was
No,
somewhere
I thought
else.
I
And
thought I
Philly.
saw something else.
And Philly. I
Was
sent
it Philly?
Yeah,
That was you.
Philly,
Okay.
Philly
Yes.
wants him bad too. So like, there's no one that's really there that you could say like, oh, well, that guy's going to come. But let's just say we're looking at what year would it be? 2026. I know there's going to be somebody in 2026.
I mean, there's going to be lots of people that pop up. And Omar, I'm not saying no one's going to want to come to LA. Obviously, everyone's going to want to come to LA, but no one's going to demand a trade because, like you said, there's no one available in these next couple of years. It's going to be after that. So I think it's going to be Lakers draft Bronny with the highest, or I should say the lowest pick they can get away with. They keep retain LeBron for 2 seasons, and
So just as a
they
heads up,
pocket retirement money and call it a day.
2026, Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander are all going to be unrestricted free agents.
Well, Luca ain't going anywhere.
Well, Shea might if they throw the world at him, and he's a huge
Shea
coach.
might if OKC doesn't get.
And so is
a
Jason
ring.
Tatum. Jason Tatum, unrestricted free agent by 2026.
I
So,
think
bird rights are
Tatum will have a ring by then, so he'll want to keep running with Boston. SGA
Donovan
would have to
Mitchell,
be
De'Aaron
close.
Fox,
Donovan that passes prime. De'Aaron
Julius
Fox.
Randle, who might consider coming back if the situation's right. That free agent class is going to be insane. And then on the amount of like role players that are going to be available, Jarrett Allen, Aaron Gordon, Marcus Smart.
Provided none of these guys
you-
sign extensions or anything between now and then. But yeah,
Right,
LA is
right.
going to have
But,
some wiggle room in a couple
like when you
years.
think
and I
about the
think that's
rumors
what
of we're going to re-sign LeBron for 2 years, you have to think that they have a plan for somebody in 2 years that they're going to try and woo. And when you look at those names, that makes a lot more sense than Klay Thompson this summer.
Oscar Wembanyama. That's who they're targeting.
I think Wembanyama is actually on this list too, but he's restricted. So
No,
No,
he's
but
talking about the
his
brother.
brother
The
Oscar,
brother.
not Victor.
I know
his
I'm
17-year-old brother.
I'm joking. I'm just saying Victor's going to be a restricted free agent at that point. So
Yeah, in 2 seasons, Oscar's going to be 19 and eligible for the NBA draft, and I don't know if he's just as good, but he's playing for France. He's going to be pretty close to as big. I mean, he's what, 6'9" already, 17 years old. So I think 2 years is going to be a lot of fun.
Omar, does hearing all this kind of change your viewpoint on what we're talking about?
No, he's still over LeBron.
I mean, I kind of am too. Just that for me, it's like I have to think in terms
What
of
you're saying, is valid. I'm not going to argue against that. But at the end of the day, I'm just tired of watching the LeBron Lakers, and that's just the bottom line of it. I call me a hater, call me whatever you want, call me bitter. I'm just tired of watching that type of basketball. But what you're saying, I can't argue with it. I mean, that makes sense from a business standpoint. That makes sense from a planning and preparation standpoint. Like I said, I'm just tired of watching LeBron play basketball in the Lakers.
it's honest.
Oh, good. Yeah,
it's your opinion.
But no, that's not going to change the opinion. Just like watching the video of Jamal Murray throw a heating pad on the court when people are playing in the middle of the key at a referee that he missed because he had terrible aim.
So you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. It's still.
And you don't think it warrants a suspension even if it's playoff?
No. I completely think it should have been. I'm not saying it should have been a suspension, but I understand why the league didn't suspend him. And I can see why there's a lot of, again, casual fans who haven't been in that setting who are like, who cares? It looked like a napkin.
I really hope something similar happens just to see what the NBA is going to do.
I don't.
I do. I want to see how they react.
You know what?
Looking for clickbait.
You know what?
No,
I wish Mark Cuban would tell one of his two-way players, "Hey, go ahead and throw a heat pack when Luka doesn't get a foul call, and I'll pay your fine." I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I do too.
Guys, if it's the same exact thing, nothing's going to happen. You have to throw something different. You have to say throw a shoe.
I don't think so, Mike. I don't think so. I think they look at the next guy and say, "Oh, we got to make an example now," because everyone's.
Well, then it's the second time. Yeah, that's true too. And then everyone will start throwing heating pads. So he's the second guy. We know this, but we ran over a little bit, guys.
Yeah, Omar wants to call.
Wanted to get out of here. Well, no, it's not on Omar. We all have things to do.
Asked to call quits early. He's like past 9:30, right?
Omar stayed on longer for his fans. Thank you, Omar.
All 99 of them.
Like and subscribe, everybody. You know,
you can. No, we're not like and subscribe. It's like and watch now. Like and watch.
Right.
You know what?
Don't even like, just subscribe.
You know what? We didn't get to touch on every single subject today, but we'll see you guys next week.
I mean, how did your boy Giddy do tonight?
Omar wants everybody to touch on that subscribe button.
Omar, how's your boy Giddy do tonight?
You know what? I actually watched the game, and for the times that I was actually paying attention, he wasn't in the game. I only saw his corner three in the second quarter because I was actually watching Shea, what Shea's doing, and actually I know they got two Williams, the guard.
Giddy played his second favorite age in minutes.
Oh man. Yeah,
On that note,
we're ending the
on that
episode.
note,
Oh yeah.
you guys
All right,
have a good
guys.
one.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Mike,
guys.
for ruining it.
Have a great evening, guys.
Peace out, guys.